If you're seeing this, it's because this video made it past the 4 hours of upload time it's been taking lately to post anything to YouTube. I apologize in advance for the green lines. I didn't feel like whipping out my tripod and my light stand today. So you're getting green lines on my phone, because apparently getting a new phone didn't quite fix that issue. I don't know what's wrong with Samsung. It didn't used to do this. Anyway, so a long time ago, I think I mentioned this in the video. I may edit it out. I may keep it in. But I used to be known by several other names. I had a blog. I updated every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Those have always been my update days. And at first it was Meg's Ragged Edge. And during that period of time, I wrote for a furniture store's blog that I worked at. I wrote for Fantastic Finds blog. And then I went from Meg's Ragged Edge, we went to Cirque du Froc, because we thought that would be a cool rebranding for my Etsy store. At the time, I had an Etsy store where I was selling one-of-a-kind upcycled things because I love to sew. And I sew more than I can possibly wear just because I like to do it. But we rebranded. We went to Cirque du Froc. Circus of Dresses is, I think, essentially what we were aiming for, because I have a little bit of a sideshow, old-timey kind of look to me. And then that just didn't fit. It didn't fit anymore. It was very feminine, and I just didn't quite relate to it. So I went to Mad Rabbit Couture. And while I was Mad Rabbit Couture on Etsy, I still sold the Cirque du Froc patterns, because one of the things that I sold as Cirque du Froc were instructions. So you could buy the thing that I made, or you could buy the instructions to make your own. And so under Mad Rabbit Couture, I still sold the Cirque du Froc tutorials. I think they were like $6 a piece, because they took forever to put together. The program I was using would crash every 5 minutes. And yeah, so I did these tutorials. And then I felt like I didn't want to be part of the selling thing. Like, I wanted to sew to make things to make me happy. Like, I like making one-of-a-kind art pieces. I don't like having to be pressured into making the same thing over and over again. I hate it. I really do. And so I got really tired of trying to make the same thing over and over again to sell. So I closed my Etsy store, and I decided to rebrand as more of a media company. I don't like to call what I am a company, because I don't view it as a company, but when I was rebranding, that's what I was thinking of. I'm like, well, I could do so much with this. And one day I want to put on productions and do plays with my friends. So maybe that was good. I don't know. But my friends and I all voted, and we liked to keep the Mad Rabbit part, but instead of couture, we became Mad Rabbit Society, because there is a society of us. Yes. Anyway, so that's how I ended up here today, because I want to show you how to make, oh my gosh, my brain. I'm sorry, I'm very tired. I want to show you how to make the first tutorial I ever sold. It's called the Sideshow Babydoll Dress. It's a very simple way of making a t-shirt bigger, or making a t-shirt into a dress. Instead of using a short piece of fabric, you would just need a longer piece of fabric or more t-shirts. But you can get creative with this tutorial, and you can use it to make something that didn't quite fit you a little bit better. That was always my goal. I wanted tutorials on how to make things bigger, because I am bigger and I can't fit into things a lot of the time. So I end up coming up with creative ways to enlarge items. And there's lots of tutorials and thrift flips on how to downsize things, but there's not always good ways to upcycle, like upsize the upcycle. So I would like to show you how I make these baby doll t-shirts, and I called them the Sideshow Dress. This is dedicated to Steph. Steph has been a follower of my blog since the good old days, and they asked me, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I'm gonna have to check that out after I do this and I'm going to go check your pronouns. I'm so sorry. But Steph asked me for copies of the tutorials, which I still am looking for. They're on my hard drive somewhere. If you would like a copy as well, please let me know and I will send one to you. But I also figured I could just show you how to do it and then everyone could get to see and not just one person could see, because, you know, I've learned a lot since I made them too. So anyway, enjoy the sideshow. Oh yeah, side note, because we were a circus, because we were Cirque du Froc at the time of making these tutorials, I was Cirque du Froc. I don't know why I say we, it's just me. But because I was Cirque du Froc at this time, they're all circus themed. So you are going to get more tutorials. You're going to get the sideshow dress. You're going to get the calliope dress. You're going to get the flying trapeze dress. There's the ringmaster jacket. You're going to get tutorials for all of these things in the future. And the reason that they have these names is that at the time I was known as Cirque du Froc, and I wanted all of the tutorials to have circus themed names. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. Welcome back to my nightmare. I'm going to show you a quick and easy DIY. To get a little context, I don't know if I'll go over this with you in maybe an intro or what, but to get a little context, back in the day I had an Etsy store and it was called Meg's Ragged Edge, and then it was called Cirque du Froc, and finally we landed on Mad Rabbit Society via Mad Rabbit Couture, but I closed it because I didn't really agree with a lot of what Etsy was doing, but then also it was just really not... I just didn't have it in me to keep up ethically with, you know, what was going on in the world with global warming and climate crisis, and how I really wanted to be a sustainable business, but I didn't feel I could be sustainable and a business during this time because I was producing more things. So, you know, I decided to just take a step back and share my knowledge versus actually sharing the item, I guess. That was always my passion anyway. I prefer telling you how I'm doing something to actually selling you. I mean, for a while I sold tutorials on my site because I just like sharing the knowledge versus sharing the product. All right, before I turn this inside out, excuse me, I have a little bit of a summer cold, so my voice is going in and out like crazy. So this, you may remember from my Shein haul, my mini haul. I love it. Looks like the cats stayed, don't you think? They stayed pretty well. The thing that this shirt has, though, is, to me, I don't like how it fits, to be honest with you. So what we're gonna do is we're going to do a tutorial. When I was selling it, I called it the sideshow shirt, or the sideshow tunic, or the sideshow dress, because you can make a dress. You can make, it just takes lengthening the fabric to make the dress. So we're going to do a shirt. This is the sideshow shirt. This is how I used to do it. I start with my shirt. This is going to be the base. You need two. You need 2 t-shirts to do this, at least. You may need more. One of them, the base has to fit you. So if you are a size 4X, you will need a base shirt of a size 4X. This is a 2X. This fits me okay. It doesn't fit me in the belly, but it fits me up top. We're keeping the top part. That's the important part. So I have folded my t-shirt in half. Doesn't have to be precise at all. Doesn't have to be precise. And actually you can do this. You don't have to flip it inside out. I actually don't. I don't know why I did it the first time. So fold your shirt like this. This is your base shirt. You're keeping this part of the shirt, and it has to fit you because we're not altering this part of the shirt. Although I do sometimes like to go through and lower the neckline just a little bit because I don't like to be choked while I'm wearing shirts. So decide where you want your shirt to be as far as length is, okay? Pull this up a little bit so you can see it. I lowered the camera so I can actually see the screen as I'm recording now. I don't know that it's helping, but it's kind of funny. I think in the tutorial I actually measured when I showed it in the actual tutorial, but I will tell you, when I was writing those, I would do the steps, but when I actually sew the item, I pretty much just wing it. I literally just wing it. Like, I almost never follow instructions. So I knew that around here, this is where my chest would be. So I would go down maybe like, I would say 5 is a good place. It's going to slightly crop the shirt or whatever you're using. So 5 inches is a pretty good one. You could do 6 inches and it will hit you maybe right about, it hits me right about the waist. So basically I just pick a point, any point, and I curve downwards. So what this is going to do is it's going to create a shirt that has a higher side than front. So it's going to curve up slightly at the sides. And that is why I called it the sideshow. I was Cirque du Froc. Everything was circus themed. And that is why this particular instructional tutorial was called the sideshow. Now, take your favorite scissors and cut. Now I'm looking at that. Actually, I can probably pick it up and judge. Yeah, I guess it's okay. It'll probably be okay. I think that I could come up a little bit more. Just because I have a pretty short torso and I really kind of like a more empire, whatever you want to say, kind of waist. So I'm actually going to take a little bit more off. There we go. Because I think my torso is going to be a little bit shorter than that. I like baby doll looking things. Okay, brief interlude while I tried on a bra, and now we're back. So I've cut that, and if you hear water running, it's because my brother's taking a shower. So I'm gonna move the main piece out of the way, and now we're back to this. So I just want it to be a little bit more flat. And here's the thing. The cool thing is you can kind of sew any shape to any shape, sort of. It's not exactly true, and other sewists are going to yell at me for telling you that. But if you wanted to keep this longer shape, you could. Like, you could just keep it at a curve, and it'll just give your hem kind of a wavy sort of thing. I would really like to just have it a little bit more even. So I'm going to whack off the points. And I am not doing this in any particular way. Because again, no one's going to notice. You just got to think of, when you're thinking of sewing, just keep thinking of that guy going, nobody's going to know. How would they know? Because it's true. Nobody's going to know. How would they know? So now you're stuck with this tube of fabric. And you want to cut the side seams off of it. And again, I'm not being too precious about this. Now you're left with these two kind of wonky pieces of fabric, right? Cool. So the thing that you need to remember when you do this next part is it doesn't matter that it's wonky. You just need to make sure that your side seams are the same length, okay? All right, so here's what we're gonna do. This t-shirt is gonna contribute its little bottom half to the ruffle. The ruffly part of this shirt, okay? I like to save the hems because I am really, really bad at hemming knit fabric. That is a weakness I don't like to tell people about because they think I'm such a great seamster, but I'm not. I'm bad at it. And I don't do well with knit. Now, if you are not like me and you wanted to try to hem knit, you could make this the fullest ruffle ever because honestly, like, you could contribute so much more fabric to this. I don't really like a whole lot of stuff around my midsection. I like some. I like enough, I think. So I'm going to use this piece as a guide, and I'm literally not going to mark it. I am just going to go, okay, that looks about right, and go like this. So what you're doing is you're doubling the amount of fabric that we're about to sew back onto the purple shirt. And we're going to open it up and we're going to cut it up the side so that we now have 4 pieces of fabric that are about the same length. So we have these 2 and then we have these 2 which we took off the initial shirt. When working with knit, it's very important to remember you want to... Yeah, okay, look, I'm not even going to pretend that I'm going to pin that. You want to make sure that the weight is similar too. That's the thing that a lot of people I think struggle with. When you're actually sewing, you want to make sure that the weight of your object is similar to the weight of the other object you're attaching it to. You can attach wool to denim. You can attach cotton to silk. But if they're different weights, it's not going to be right. I mean, okay, I don't know about cotton and silk because I don't sew those kinds of fabrics, but what you're going to want to do, and the way that you should do this, is you're going to want to take a piece of gray fabric and you're going to take a piece of purple fabric and you're just going to pin these pieces together. Now I know that I will feed this through my machine hem first, so I would take a pin and I would start pinning this side, right? Pin them together and you're going to have one long tube of fabric because you're going to get to this side and you're going to marry a piece of purple, different piece, not the same piece. You're going to marry that together, right? Now you can pin the whole side of your fabric, but we both know that I've already told you I am bad at sewing. I don't pin things. I just wing it. I'm a rebel. So we're going to take this, let's see, I'm going to feed it that way so I know it's going to go this way. And then we're going to join the final 2 pieces. So in theory, had you done this correctly and pinned all the sides, you would have pinned, basically you would have a big tube, okay? So we're going to go and we're going to sew each of these sides together, right? So the whole way, so this whole seam together, and then sew this seam. So 4 seams we have to sew. And when we come back, we're going to sew that, and then we're going to run a gathering stitch around the top. And then when we come back, we're going to attach the ruffle to the bottom of the shirt. It's really super easy. I believe in you. Welcome back. All right, so what we did is oh, that's for a different DIY. Hold on. Hold please. Okay, so what you'll see we did is we sewed this giant tube of fabric, right? Giant tube of fabric. Cool, cool. We're all on the same page. And then we ran 2 loose stitches. I don't know if I ran out of thread, so really it's like 1.5, but 2 rows of like loose stitches at the top. These are going to help gather because, as you'll see where I ran out of the thread and had to tie it together, it pulls it tighter. Like you can just kind of use the loose stitching and pull, and it gives you a nice ruffle. So what we're going to do is figure out how we want our ruffle. In the original tutorial for this, I called it the sideshow shirt. So what I did was I would try very hard to painstakingly make the purple, like say the purple would be center so that it looked like the sides were fun. But now I'm just kind of wondering if it might be fun to do like off-centered. I don't know. Maybe do like kind of Harlequin sort of theme. I think that could be kind of fun, you know, like that. So what you're going to want to do, and on some t-shirts that have side seams, it makes it easy because you already know where your sides are. Usually I would, if you didn't have a seam on the side of the shirt, I would make you put a pin there and be like, pin the sides of your shirt and then find the center of your front by using those 2 pieces and then bam, center of your front, right? Right. Don't forget your pins. Now you can still use this method with a side seam, you just don't need as many pins. Connect your side seams, here's the center of your front, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. You're only using this as a guide for how much you need to ruffle. So again, find the center back, perfect. All right, and now you're going to do the same thing to Okay, you don't need to do it. Never mind. I was gonna say you're gonna do the same thing, but there's seams. They already know which side. So with right sides together, and make sure the right sides are together, line up where your center front seam meets your center front of your shirt. And then go through the right sides together, and don't twist it too much because you don't want to like accidentally sew it on inside out, because I've done that. Don't twist, just like line up the two side seams. There's your side seam. Side seam and side seam. And then flip it around to the back. Make sure everything is laying the way it should. And then match up your back seam and your center back pin. Now, when you do the two side by side, if you are like me and you don't sew super great, you may need to like go back through after you've sewn the shirt together and trim off some of the excess thread, or pluck it out. So what I'm doing, if you can't see, I'm using a pin and I'm going into those loose stitches and I'm just gently tugging them up until I can get my finger underneath of them. So. And then I just pull the stitching until I've made the ruffle fit to where I'm going to pin it. And this takes a little bit of like zhuzhing, you know, it doesn't always work. And sometimes I don't do two lines of loose stitches. But if you don't do two lines, sometimes like say your thread breaks, then you kind of have to stop what you're doing and stitch it back down again. And I find that happens a lot on t-shirt fabric. It can be a little fussy to work with. And when you're happy with how you like it, just make sure you pin it down. And then so that there's no like flat pieces, sometimes I like to like tie it off and then scoot the ruffling down to like hide where I had been pulling it. Luckily with t-shirt fabric, it's a little stretchy, so if you do something like don't have enough fabric, or you can kind of make it work a little bit with you. It can be a little flexible that way. So go ahead and do that to each quarter, because that's what this is called. It's called quartering. And do the next quarter, do the whole thing, and then go through and we're going to stitch those together. And then pretty much your shirt will be done. So I'm really happy with how this turned out, but it wasn't a surprise because I knew that it would work. I've done it before. I have to say I really like my jeans as well. Those were inspired by a blueprint DIY tutorial. I may need to fix them though, because I think I took too much out of my thighs and they keep busting through. But overall, super pleased with how this looks. I'm so used to the camera being over there, but it's over there today. I'm such a good model. If you like this video, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing with your friends. Make sure to go outside, get some fresh air, drink some water, take a nap, take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time. Bye.